You're watching Capital Connection from the Illinois State Capitol.
Welcome back. So I've already told you about Governor Pritzker's plan to alleviate medical debt for people across Illinois, but now I want to take a look at a different plan, this one proposed by Senator Steve Stadelman, who's our next guest. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator. So your plan is a little bit different than the governor's approach. The governor wants to go through third parties. He wants to buy that medical debt early and essentially go through this process that has seemed to have worked in the private side. You want to deal with the credit reporting agencies and alleviate the impact that medical debt can have on other aspects of their life. Is that correct?
Right. So, we're trying to solve the same thing, helping people with their medical debt. So the governor is trying to help remove that debt. And my legislation simply says, if you face medical debt, it should not affect your credit score. Your ability to access loans for a job, housing, or to get a car, for example, to get to your job, that credit score should not be impacted by any medical you may have.
How did you come up with this idea? Is this something that you've seen other states do? Is this something that, where did this originate from?
First of all, it's a big problem. It's estimated 1 in 3 Americans have medical debt. That's 100 million Americans. So a lot of people are struggling to pay their medical bills. So I wanted to help solve that situation. But I have seen what 1 or 2 other states have done as far as trying to resolve this issue. And one of the tools in that toolbox to help people with their medical debt is to help them with their credit scores, right? You have credit agencies that, publish this medical debt information that hurts people's credit score. And as you know, people's livelihood are very dependent on that credit score. So I don't think they should be financially penalized for a medical debt situation which you can't anticipate. You don't know when you're going to get sick. You don't know when you get injured. So you should not suffer financial consequences because of that.
I wonder, when you hear the governor's proposal and compare it to yours, do you see these as two that can just coexist going forward in a way that Illinois approaches this issue?
I think they complement each other. We're trying to solve the same problem, but taking different approaches. So I'm supportive of all the above approach. Whatever we can do in whatever capacity to help people pay their medical bills or remove that medical debt from being a financial liability, I'll be supportive of.
So I asked, you said this was it's obviously a clear problem, medical debt existing, and the impact on credit scores can be astronomical when it gets to this. But I wonder, is there proof that this has been done before? I guess is this a new concept for Illinois? And I guess I'm wondering, are credit agencies going to be cool with this when we're?
Yeah. Well, so credit agencies have not opposed legislation. Banking institutions have not opposed legislation because I think they realize that, first of all, medical debt is an indicator of getting sick. It's not an indicator of making bad financial decisions. Research has shown that if someone has medical debt, that's not a good indicator of one's credit worthiness. So if it's not indicative of one's ability to pay back bills or how they got in that situation in the first place, why should it be on a credit score? Why should it be on a credit report? And I think banking institutions realize that. So I think it's just starting, it's gaining momentum. I think Illinois would be the third state outside New York and Colorado to pass this type of legislation. But again, I think hasn't been around long enough to know for sure what the impact will be, but anything we can do to help people's credit scores stay high will help them financially.
And do you feel like there would be any negative, would there be a negative impact when it comes to people's willingness, I guess, not willingness, but and not ability, but I guess just desire to pay these bills back? Because I guess some may see that credit score, the fear of that credit score dropping, as the incentive to make sure you're paying this back in that way.
I don't think this legislation provides a disincentive to pay your medical bills. This legislation does not say people do not have to pay medical bills. A medical provider or a collections agency can still try to collect that debt. That process continues. All this legislation simply says is your credit score will not be impacted. You will not suffer financial repercussions for accessing credit or a loan because you have a medical debt. Again, that's something that's spontaneous, it's unexpected, you don't know what's going to happen. You can be the best financial planner in the world, pay all your bills, and suddenly you're hit with a medical bill and you're in financial trouble. So it's not a good indicator of one's ability to pay back bills, and therefore I don't think it's going to affect people's willingness or ability to go ahead and pay those bills when they're able to.
And as far as the governor's side, have you had conversations with his administration, with his office about, moving both of these bills forward in a way, or are they kind of focused on theirs and you're focused on yours kind of approach?
I had a coordination with the governor's office. I think they've been working on this for a while, obviously, because he mentioned this earlier in the session. So I introduced it on my own, just doing research what other states have done, and obviously realizing this is a huge problem. So it was a nice surprise, I guess, when I found out the governor was also making this a priority. So I'm looking forward to working with him on both pieces of policy and legislation.
All right, well, Senator Stadelman, thank you so much for joining us. We'll be right back.